Hello everybody, welcome to your swing trading stock market outlook for the week of April 24th. I go through the same process every week. Let's keep this really short because I got to get to the golf course. So I published some recent swing trading watch lists. There are quite a few on there that are setting up. Right now, conditions are right on the cusp of being in good territory, so I'm willing to very selectively deploy some capital in some of these trades if I see something I really like. But for the most part, I'm going to keep the bulk of my cash until I see conditions really improve. Let's look at the various indexes. Each one gives a bit of a different perspective on the market. And we can see the NASDAQ 100 still in this uptrend since the start of the year. The S&P 500 also in an uptrend, but we came all the way back almost to these prior lows. You could say this is a little bit weaker uptrend. You can see this low way above that low on the NASDAQ, and on the S&P not quite as much. On the Russell 2000, we actually took out that late 2022 low, and same with on the NYSE. So these not as strong uptrends. The Russell, we can't really even say it's in an uptrend anymore. Big lower swing low there. The NYSE composite, very broad measure, trying to recover and doing a pretty good job. The stock market in Canada back near its highs, but same sort of thing as the S&P, came all the way back to those prior lows. So almost like in a range. We'll see if that breaks out, at least right now, moving to the upside. Moving well. The kind of broad census here is that at least for right now, we're pushing to the upside. Even though small cap stocks are very weak, still trying to push to the upside here. Hopefully that can continue to break higher if these other indices break higher. I just threw the French index on here. I believe it is EWQ. Yeah, EWQ. Just been relentless to the upside this year, and one of the best performing stock indexes in the world. Gold and Bitcoin and Ethereum in orange also on this chart had performed very well recently. We are seeing a sell-off last week. I still like the overall uptrend of this. Of course, these especially the Bitcoin and Ethereum can be quite volatile. We had this big shakeout after a breakout earlier this year, came all the way back, took out the prior lows, so I'm not too surprised to see this, and maybe even an extension lower. Wouldn't be too surprising, but I do think we are in an overall uptrend for that, so hopefully that continues as well, something to keep an eye on. Let's look at the health indicators. Showed a little bit more than I have in this week. We see the prior uptrend and then this long downtrend that we've been in for a year, and now we're starting to build back to the upside. We can see this is the number of stocks above their 50-day moving average. When it is above 50%, that is a rough indicator of how many stocks are in short-term uptrend. It's going to be a lot easier to make money. So we have 57%, close to 57% of S&P 500 stocks above their 50-day, only about 40% of all U.S. stocks above their 50-day. And that goes back to, we know that we have some indices which are very weak, so we have some pretty big segments of the stock market which are not performing as well. So a little bit mixed here. I would say we're kind of right on the cusp here of being okay, not being okay. Really is going to depend a little bit on what kind of stocks you're trading. And so right on the cusp there. Volume not really important to me at the moment. This is daily average movement in the S&P 500, and this is why I wanted to include a bit of the prior uptrend. When we're in an uptrend, we have very few days with drops of 2%, and when we do get one of those drops, we can almost always safely stay away for a few days, and we're not going to miss much. So a really big drop here, it continues to drop for a few days, and then it starts rallying. Same with over here. Usually takes a few days for it to recover. In a downtrend, you're going to see much more of these days, and you can kind of see how many there are of these big, huge, volatile days compared to during the uptrend. So we're starting to see a little bit more of this calm behavior the last month, which is nice to see. We have had brief periods of calm when we had this big rally, which we did get to trade into. Same with during this period where we didn't really have any 2% drop days. And same with during this up period, no 2% drop days. Basically, when they happen, it tells us to stay away. So right now, we're in one of these periods of calm, and hopefully it turns more into this where we get months and months of it, and we just continue to move to the upside. So this is good at the moment. This is also good. The NYSE Advanced Decline Line. It made a new high above its prior high this year, and the S&P 500 has not. So that's what we call a positive divergence, and it very high accuracy rate for indicating that the S&P 500 will also follow through to its new high. So we're not that far away. That's not very far-fetched, but we're sitting just below its prior high on the S&P 500. So this is indicating that we are going to eventually take out that high. This is just up volume versus total volume. There are no important signals on this recently. One of the things that I like to look at as well is just how many stocks are out there setting up based on the swing trading watch list, which I made last week, and I'll be updating it again this week. There were quite a few stocks on there. So yeah, lots sitting out. Some did break to the downside without triggering. Others are still sitting up. There's also a few that earnings are coming up very close now. But overall, lots of stocks to watch. And then there's, of course, the best swing trading stocks watch list, which is just very strong, high momentum stocks. So this is, I would say, favorable at the moment. We are seeing lots of stocks sit up. Some are breaking out and running. That's good to see. In terms of sectors on the move, this is more just if you're really limited on your scanning time and you want to focus on just a couple sectors instead of maybe having to go through your whole scan list. Unfortunately, not a whole lot of leadership. Pretty much everything is doing well over the last month. But if we look at, kind of all three of these time frames, nothing really stands out. Healthcare is in the middle here. It's in the upper for the last month. It's kind of in the middle for the three. So it's the one that's kind of holding up the best on all three time frames. But and then consumer defensive and utilities, I don't really trade much because they don't move as much as the other things, but you could certainly trade them if you wanted. So they're doing well recently. But yeah, overall, pretty much everything's doing okay, especially over the last month. So not a whole lot of super clear leadership. So what I'm doing right now, if I see setups that trigger, I'm going to start deploying some capital. And I also, of course, day trade stocks and the euro US dollar. And I just like day trading because it gives something to trade every day and potentially make some profits. Whereas swing trading, we kind of have these periods where it's slow for some times, and then we get a flurry of action, and then it's slow again. So this is just an example of a chart. I posted a stock example last week. We have very similar patterns, looking for a continuation of the downtrend here. That failed. Then we have this reversal, if you notice, a little bit higher swing high here compared to this. So, we're trying to move lower. It didn't work. I even took a trade and it didn't work. Then you have this pop to the upside. And then we start to get a push higher at a higher swing low. That's just a simple definition of an uptrend. Higher swing highs, higher swing lows. This is the first indication of it. So 2.5R just means whatever your risk is. If you're risking $100 on the trade, you made $252. If you were risking 1% of your account, you made 2.25%. If you were risking $1,000, you made $2,520. And then another one here, almost hit my target, and I just decided to bail out. I was very close to the end of my sort of trading session, a quick day for me. So, a nice day, about 3% on the account very quickly. So, that's the nice thing about day trading. You can see how that all works in the courses. Anyway, that is it. I have to get out to the golf course, so have a great week out there. Until next time, happy trading.